on the parliamentary visit to Czech Republic, one of the highlights of the visit was a tour made by Nigeria's Senate President and his delegation to Wallenstein Palace, the seat of the Senate of the Parliament of Czech Republic. Now, the tour showcased the rich history of the country and also showed that the government of Czech Republic pays great attention to preserving historical artifacts, a practice which Nigeria's Senate President hopes will be replicated in Nigeria. Driving through the streets of Prague, the capital city of Czech Republic, you feel as if you've been transported to the past. Old buildings stand proudly beside new architecture. There is much history on the streets of Prague, and the rich history is pretty much exhibited in many buildings and places throughout the city. One experience which Nigeria's Senate President and his team to Prague would not forget in a hurry is the visit to Wallenstein Palace, the seat of the Senate of the Parliament of the Czech Republic. There, the people showed the need to preserve history through structures, documentation, pictures, signatures. The palace was built by nobleman Albert Wenceslas Wallenstein in the years 1623 to 1634. The palace, which has a museum, gardens, pictures as well as paintings, is adorned with sculptures like Hercules with the centaur, Neptune, horse with snake, Bacchus, Hercules fighting with a dragon, Apollo, Adonis and Venus, and also a nymph fighting Satyr, Laocoon and his sons, Venus with Amor, among others. Federal lawmakers who witnessed the attention to preserving the history and culture by the people of Czech Republic want this replicated in Nigeria.
If you go to a country like Ghana, just next door, the table that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah sat on, that he used as a student in the university, is preserved. The clothes he wore on the day he was sworn in as a prime minister are preserved. The fountain pen he used is preserved. But go to our former National Assembly building in Lagos. I mean, it is totally devoid of any history through our own making. So when you compare that to what we have seen here, I mean, they showed me a wall clock in the Senate building. No, an artwork, sorry, that was put there in 1627. The Senate, present Senate chamber is 390 years old. This hotel we are staying in, at the staircase, you see the date it was built, 1517. You know, we cannot preserve a history of just 53 years. You know, so for me, the biggest lesson of this trip is that keen sense of history, and we must, not for our own sakes, but for the sakes of future generations, preserve that history.
We need to preserve our culture. We need to preserve the heritage of our land. I saw a building that was built in 1625, and it's still looking sharp. And we asked, did you rebuild it? They said no. What they just merely did is to preserve it, which in other words means that we need to preserve our culture. The moment you preserve what has been seen as a sign of history, then you are by nature preserving the history of that country, and it will take you to the state of development. Then you know that you have left this stage and you are now on the other stage. And things that we didn't do well, we will now know how best do we get it rectified, or how do we correct ourselves.
This again gives you an idea, further enriches the idea of what is possible. There's so much possible. If you go to India, their own direction is different. We have to decide which way to go and do it. Whichever way, we will do something that's nice, something that is representative of our own political history, and something that endures. What is important, you don't build today to break down tomorrow. We should build to last 500 years. We should build, and we should restore our historical monuments and not destroy them. And that's what is the whole architecture of this place that we've gone to, their assembly, is, welds very neatly into their history. They did not set up new buildings. They they set up their legislature within the context of their own history.
Moved by what he saw, Senate President David Mark disclosed that plans were underway to reclaim the Tafawa Balewa Square and turn it into a museum as a means of preserving aspects of Nigeria's rich history.
We have written a letter asking the president to let us take our own parliament, the one in Lagos, yes, where the National Assembly used to sit. It's in a very poor condition and bad condition at the moment, and we truly anxiously would like to take it as quickly as possible and begin to gradually restore it to what it used to be. Luckily, we still have a number of past chairmen and presidents of the Senate and speakers who are still alive, and we'll be able to benefit from them or even get some of the issues